All right, folks, it is now 6:30. I'd like to call the Board of Selectmen's meeting to order for October 30th, 2023. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is this a workshop or is it actually a meeting?
Yeah, it's a workshop.
Well, just so you know, so we're not going through our normal agendas, we're not going through the
Right.
normal things, so just, well,
I got the, right here.
I understand, but not the,
No.
Right, number one's done.
All right, so today's meeting is we're doing a budget review. And we're gonna start with the fire department. If Matt, if you'd like to come up to the table. Just kind of go over it.
We have
That is in here. You will find it is probably
line 200.
on-
200, thank you.
Sorry, the pages aren't numbered.
Yep, I'm good. 229? Oh, 200, gotcha.
Any members of the board have any questions in regards to what's being presented from the fire department?
The line 204, do we want it to be 0? Or does it need to be $1?
It's 40,000.
It's 40,000.
Oh, it's only, I'm sorry, I read the
There's
wrong.
no difference.
I read the wrong line, thank you.
That's paid out at the end of the year. Is that why?
Yes.
This type, yeah.
No, I want the blue line to not be 0, that's the one I was, excuse me.
And if you wouldn't mind just ignoring the narrative, I didn't update that. This is notes from last year because a lot of this information was level funded.
Okay. Is the, okay, never mind. You said don't pay attention for the hydrant maintenance about the Canard Road. We've already,
Canard Road's already addressed. That'll come out of this year's budget.
correct. If there's any of the unassigned funds from this year, they don't roll over, they just go back to the,
Not unless you choose to encumber any of these accounts. But there would have to be either a contract in place or something earmarked, a purchase. or what
obviously
have you.
forest fire, it was a very wet year. So that line item, I mean, it's, you know, peanuts. I was just curious how that rolls over.
Can you just refresh my memory, the stipends are paid out for the chief, deputy chief, and,
Stipend is paid out, the one that says FR stipend is all members.
All
It's
members,
paid
okay.
out once a year.
Okay.
And then the one under it is the chief's salary, that's paid monthly.
okay. Anybody have any questions on this? I think it's pretty straightforward.
yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
If there was line items here that you think you could decrease, just for the budget committee's, foresight when they get to see this?
I mean, looking through it, the only, there's a few that weren't spent fully protective gear and stuff. I mean, you can't really skimp on that. You hire one new guy, that's half that money.
Sure.
So there's really not much to cut anywhere now.
You don't have much wiggle room, it looks like here.
No.
No.
What's the service contracts? 203. I know it's just a ridiculous.
I don't know what that one is exactly, $250. I mean, it could be a computer service contract.
Yeah,
I know
it
it's not like the Primer Vet and stuff, that's gotta be in a different line.
Does the security system go all through us?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, one bulk.
Yeah, we paid for the initial install, and then it's a annual maintenance through Central Station.
And do we have the recurring warrant article for fire breathing apparatus? Does that come up every year, or is that a,
It would be just a capital reserve,
okay,
yeah, capital reserve fund would be about the only one.
I don't really see anywhere that, he's already operating at a bare bones budget. I don't think we'd be doing this service any justice if we did any cuts to it.
yeah, I mean, that's not really what we do here right now anyway.
Right.
This is a good starting point, let's say. There's things everywhere here that are gonna have to be adjusted, not just in the fire, but everybody's budget, so.
Right.
But at least it's, I like the idea of the numbers where they stand, that there isn't a lot of increases. You see a lot of zeros on budget differences, which is nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, everything's in wages, and we expected that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is something we definitely expected to happen.
Right.
All right, well, if there's no questions or comments in regards to this, we'll,
I mean, this is just a base information session, right? And then it'll go to,
okay. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate it.
We have the library, and we have Lori Anderson.
Library, like to come up, we can do that.
Did you say library or sorry?
Yeah, library's fine.
Sure, it's gonna be-
which line item is that? 355? Nope, go back, 351.
Narrative on this is correct?
Nope. Hopefully they can fill in the blanks for their operating budget.
Okay.
I'd better be able to do that.
Just so everybody can hear, could you just state your name and
Yes.
position for the recording?
Yes, this is Jen Phillips. I am one of the trustees at the Blaisdell Memorial Library.
Thank you.
I'm Amanda Stevens, I'm the interim library director.
wanna shed it, I mean, you have 3 items, so.
Like to hear about first. I guess I'll start with the operating budget. We've had a functionally flat operating budget since 2019. That is starting to really pinch us in random places, like carpet cleaning. That doesn't sound like it's going to be a big deal, but the costs for us to have our carpets cleaned has almost doubled. And that's just getting them cleaned at the end of the summer reading program. Nothing fancy, just normal. Our ebooks are going like wildfire. People love ebooks. We have people come in and get a library card exclusively for that. That is a pay as, or I'm trying to remember exactly what the terminology is, but it's basically the more you use, the more you pay. And this is something that libraries across the state are struggling with, because the more people that use ebooks, the higher those costs go. 15% growth over last year for ebooks. That's having a direct impact on our budget. We have 3,400 plus library card holders in the town, which is about 65% of the town's residents. We're very fortunate to have IT services donated. If we did not have that, we would be spending thousands of dollars more a year for that. I actually talked to the director of the Raymond Library, and they pay a $20,000 retainer that they work off of. So this is a huge savings for us to have someone volunteering to do this work.
How'd you pull that off?
He's a wonderful person. He just loves the library, and he comes in and helps us. It's,
That's awesome. That's good.
yeah, we're very lucky.
What's the total cost, do you think, for the ebooks? You said it's a 50% increase this year?
15% increase
Oh,
in
15.
use.
Okay.
15 in use, yeah. I don't know.
It went up about $400 for this coming year.
Is that the telephone line item or the operation appropriation?
No, the
That's in our
telephones are
operating.
completely different.
Okay.
Where do you want to start with the phones? We had 2 aging copper lines that come into the library. One was hooked up to the phone, the other one was hooked up to the fax machine, which we have people use weekly. That's so usually the immediate question is fax machine. We had the lift installer got 90% of the way done and looked around and said, "Where's your emergency phone line?" And we did not have one. So we went through a lot of hoops, a lot of phone calls to find out that Consolidated Communications owns the 2 copper lines. They lease them to First Light, and neither Consolidated nor First Light are installing copper lines anymore. That shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. But they also don't have fiber running out to Nottingham, which means that we had to switch all of the library's phones over to Comcast, which actually is an improvement because we were having calls cut out, didn't really know why, and it's because it was copper that's been there since the 70s.
So this is just an increase in the base usage.
Well, because we had to add the line for the lift as well.
Yeah, we had to add a line, change over the service of the other ones.
And does your internet service, is that in the operation budget?
So the internet service, I think, is provided under some agreement with Comcast. We get the internet service gratis. Is that? Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
How do you sign up for that?
You know, we get that question frequently. I don't, by budget, I don't know what the story behind it is, but it was an agreement that was reached ages ago.
I guess that leaves the last line item of salaries.
All right, where do you want to start with salaries? I can answer lots of questions.
This very short line, it just tells me
Yeah.
what you're proposing,
Right.
the increase above.
We did a kind of a survey of peers and neighbors. Peers are libraries in towns that look like Nottingham, similar population, similar income, similar tax base. And when we first did this back in 2016, Nottingham was kind of at the middle of the pack. And when we did it again in 2021, we were dead last. So last year, we got a nice bump, which has moved us to one above the bottom. And there's just, salaries have gone up across the board for everyone. We have, most of the library employees are currently making less than they could make at a retail, local fast food. So, the salary line that is proposed would bring us to a full-time director, at a market competitive salary. And it would bring virtually all of the employees at or near that $15 an hour.
How many other employees are there?
There are a total of 9 employees, I believe, and that includes like someone who's only there a couple hours a week. We have 2 pages that are in school. They come in for a couple hours a week. So 9 employees sounds like a lot, but
How many hours does that equate a week, do you think?
I always get one question that I can't answer. The library's open 35 hours a week, so I don't know. Let me see if I have that.
Usually get a couple of people on?
Oh, yeah, we have to have at least 2. That's, not just because we have 2 levels, but also for safety. And then when we have programming, there's usually at least 1 or 2 others, because the person doing the programming is obviously, if you're doing a children's program, your focus is and should be on the children. 16, so. Yeah, it would bring, so the budget that's in front of you, the proposed salary budget, would allow us to go back to our increased, our normal hours, which is another factor in here. Right now, we're on reduced hours. We close early on Friday. We are not open Sunday. And that's in order to get the sufficient coverage with part-time and interim.
Do you think you're gonna be able to find the staff for that?
I mean, if we get the requests that we have put forth, we are at least competitive with other libraries. And of course, they would love to come here. We're awesome.
But
yeah, I mean-
With retention and just everybody is finding it
Yeah,
a
it's.
competitive marketplace, especially at the town level.
I understand, exactly. And I do think that we are fortunate in that we have not had, other than our director, a lot of turnover. But I think that, the salaries that we're currently at, I don't know how long that's going to last. Goodwill can only get you so far.
I don't have any other questions for the library. Anybody?
I don't have any questions.
Steve,
Right.
John, questions? No? All right. Appreciate your
Well, thank
time.
you very much for your time.
Thank you.
If anyone does come up with any questions later, I am happy to answer
We
them.
will.
Okay.
Thank you all.
See that Lori's here, if Lori would like to come up.
Where's she at?
Page for that, line 26.
26,
Yeah,
thank you.
first page.
On the word.
First page, Ben.
Say again, first page?
Yep.
Yeah. Narrative, correct?
Yes. So line 26 is made up of those two first lines, the town clerk's salary and the deputy town clerk.
You just broke them out.
Is there no 27 and 28 line?
No, I don't think there is. Probably because they
Okay.
got
Merge
crunched
cells.
together there.
I'm just missing a 35 too, I don't know what that. Well, Lori, you wanna
Okay.
drive us through this?
Do you have any questions?
Always.
What I did this year was I split the town clerk salary and the deputy salary so that you could see that it wasn't just for one person. And those are just the hourly wages. We're gonna have 4 elections next year, so we don't know how many hours that's gonna add on. The 2 weeks prior to any election, generally there's a lot more work that has to get done just to do the absentee ballots and that kind of, just
But is,
preparation for the election.
is that in the elections part of the budget though, or is that, no?
We don't get paid out of the elections budget.
And you're talking primary general in the spring and then primary and general for the fall? Fall, 4 elections?
The presidential primary in January, we think, and then the town election in March. Then there's a primary in September, state primary, and then the general election in November. And so we don't know how much extra work that will be. Usually, there are 2 or 3 days where we work together, just because of the overflow of people coming in and asking for ballots, just making sure everything is ready to go for the election. And then election day. In the expenses for equipment, under this, it's just for the interwear, the 4563 is the interwear maintenance and whatever. But I did buy a new credit card unit. The one that we have was at end of life, and it took people 4 or 5 times to get it to work. I did buy a small scanner too for the desk, and it really freed up running over and having Kelly do it and then having her email it to us, because we can't have a direct link from that scanner over in the Board of Selectmen's office. Postage, I'm just guessing. We did end up collecting $5,000 worth of postage last year. And the reason that I'm guessing is it costs a lot of money to send out absentee ballots. They weigh a lot. You know, they're well over $1. And for 4 elections, we don't have any idea how many ballots are going to be requested.
It'll definitely be an increase.
Pardon me?
It'll definitely be an increase of the presidential election
It
people.
will, but the postage is kind of self-funded, because we collect 5,000, we collected 5,000 last year just from registrations.
Okay.
So if we spend that much in absentee ballots, it will cover it, which will be good. The one thing that we did want to buy was a new laptop, and that would be for us to keep track of all the election software and whatever at the same time. One person's waiting on a customer and the other person's doing the election stuff. I mean, $1,200 is the fee, that is the amount that I got. I think that was something that Ellen had come up with. And in the future, that probably could be used for a second person to be working at the windows. I don't know when that would ever happen, but I'm hoping someday soon.
Is that something because I know when Dee was here last time talking about elections, they would need a laptop, an additional laptop as well. Would it be able to use for both?
We have shared theirs in the past, but they're buying laptops for them, for training, because they have new people being trained, I believe. I think they don't want to share their equipment. And I'm not, I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to share my laptop either. The more people that use a piece of equipment, the more things go wrong.
And you only have one workstation over there, right?
We only have the one.
End of the hours and everything seem to be working now, like, just, if we opened up for more hours, then that would increase these line items over here. I know that we got pushed down for a while due to there was COVID, there was everything, and then it depends, I mean, your deputy has like 2 other jobs, so she's bouncing around and can only cover extra hours on certain days, but.
To be honest, I don't think that you can do more than 5 hours in a row. It's a lot.
Yeah,
Maybe if there were 2 people working simultaneously, that might be a better thing. Northwood has 2 people all the time, Barrington has 3, Lee has 2. It might be nice a couple of days to have 2 people on, but then it's gonna cost more money because you have to pay us per hour.
do you ever split a shift, like one person's morning, one person's afternoon, or?
No, because you have to do a closeout, and those have to be done at the end of your shift.
But if you had the laptop, you might be able to.
That's possible, where one person could do all the renewals and whatever, and the other person could wait on the people.
Oh, I see the ones that get mailed to you and stuff.
Right.
What's the line 29, the fees, that just standard fees that,
Those are fees that the state allocates to the clerks for doing work on their behalf.
So they get paid that additionally.
okay,
Instead of paying DMV employees, they pay us.
gotcha. And, okay, dues, conferences, just more conferences, more stuff coming up. Is that election-based too, or is that just,
It depends on, in an election year, they have a lot of information that comes out, and they'll just on a whim say there's a regional meeting down in Brentwood, can you come down
yeah,
for a few hours?
I think Dee was saying there's new stuff coming out anyway, right? New software, new computer, all that stuff was supposed to be coming. Is what it is. I don't have any other real questions.
So you've been doing this by yourself for, God, how long now?
Well, I'm not doing it by myself.
Well, you only have one person working in the office at a time, right?
Yes, forever. It's only been one person forever.
And you're saying that our counterparts, like Northwood and Barrington, already have 2 people per, most of the time, or?
Northwood has 2 people every day. Well, they're only open 4 days a week.
Oh, okay, okay. And-
They are all, and they're open till 4:30 in the afternoon. They're also the tax collector. How
Yeah,
many
oh, I
of
see.
those hours are actual tax collection hours? I don't know.
Okay.
We had an audit done today, and the auditor came down from Barrington, and they had 3 people there. They had 3 people there every day, just as a town clerk.
And Do you think we're there, or just about there? Obviously not this year, but,
Sometimes we could be there,
yeah.
yep. I
The
don't
bulk
think-
of his new registrations in general is the bulk of your,
That's the bulk of the work.
Yeah.
There are many things that I have never even gotten to touch, because
yeah,
there's just never any time or manpower to do it.
right.
And Tracy just told me, she went to it was a seminar that she went to, and she's gonna try to get to set up some kind of an archives group. She says it's the town clerk's responsibility.
Like you don't have enough,
Can't
right?
even file stuff away, never mind archive stuff. That's something too we have to look in the future, is space to put things.
Yeah, you and
Space.
a lot of other folks in this building, space is gonna become a problem.
And legally, I have to keep things safe and locked up. Well, you've seen where the ballots are kept.
Yes. Yes. All right, is there any other questions, comments?
It's a pretty flat budget.
No,
No?
I'm looking at the big picture, so,
Matt, Tim? No. No? All right, thank you, Lori.
Thanks, Lori.
for-
Lori, did you have anything to input on the elections end of it? Dee presented her portion for the supervisors, but there were some line items that you share. She said that she no longer has to publish her notices in the newspaper, but we didn't want to zero fund that out. Obviously, we expended quite a bit for,
I don't really have any notices that I ever have to publish. They have to publish when they're gonna have a sitting. The only thing we have to put out there are the absentee ballot request forms and when an election's gonna be held and where. I can post those on, or have Kelly post them on the town website, and then go over to the school and just have them post it there.
okay. So
But
would that be?
legally, I don't have to do anything in a newspaper or anything like that.
Okay, now what about printing the ballots and other
The only
forms,
ballots that
election
we have to
related?
pay for are the town ballots.
Okay,
Well, we pay for the school ones also. But the state pays for all the ballots that we use for state elections.
okay, do you have an estimate of how much the printing cost would be for that?
I do.
Which items out of 41?
That would be item 41.
Let's see. So last year's town election ballots, that included the town and the school, came out to 3864.45. So that should actually be in the elections budget.
Okay. So we should probably keep that where it was at the 5750.
Yes. Oh, yeah, it depends on how many pages you have of a ballot as well.
Did you get that number?
I did. And then postage, the supervisors, so last year's budget was $1,000. The supervisors were, I don't know if they gave us a figure, but we had it at 500 and,
So they have to do mailings that I don't have to do regarding elections.
okay. We did I think Kelly showed me, we did a specific mailing just because of the deliberative session relocating over to the school last year. You don't anticipate doing a separate mailing for this year, do you? For the 2024 town elections?
All of the elections next year should be held at the school, just because of the
Oh,
size.
no, I'm sorry, yes, I got that backwards. The town election was held here.
Right, we
opposed
had
to
to
at the
notify
school.
everybody that,
Okay,
and that's why that mailing went out.
all right.
That's another thing too that we have to keep in mind, is that we don't know when the presidential primary is gonna be.
Could be as early as
It's gonna-
December.
The school's gonna have to close that day. I mean, theoretically, we could have it here. I don't know about parking, and it's not really up to me, it's up to the moderator. The other elections all have their dates set, except that's the only one that isn't.
It'd be tough to do it here. with parking.
And especially if it's December or January, we could have winter weather.
Right. And you can't park on the field over there.
What do they have to give you for legal notice? As to when it's gonna be held?
A legal notice for what?
How?
The state.
What's the notice that the state will give you as far as, I
Oh.
mean, is it going to be, hey, you're having a
wait.
presidential primary in a week?
I mean, that's all that political gaming right now, because the New Hampshire Constitution says it has to be first in the nation, and they're trying to move it to what, Georgia or South Carolina to be the first one, so they're keep edging. It's a chess game right now.
It really is, and we have no idea.
But the
They have to
supervisors
give them
have
a-
to be able to register new voters, and there has to be that time frame in advance at least.
I think that
Can
would
register
go.
a new voter the day of the election.
Okay, so that's not gonna,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think like how,
time that-
potentially how soon could this be
The
happening?
time that it's gonna entail is printing the ballots and getting them to all the towns. That could be an issue. And we did have an issue a couple of years ago with bad weather out in Oklahoma where they're printed. Remember they had that ice storm? Yeah, so I think that Dave's gonna handle it. Just know that he's gonna handle it.
Thanks, Lori.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We can go back to the beginning.
Yes.
Executive department,
Oh, okay, you're covering the rest now?
I guess so.
Okay. What's line 5?
That is a merit compensation pool, so that's a placeholder for any merit increases that take place across all departments throughout the year. What we do is we plug in all the salary levels for each department, and then we plug in a figure anywhere from 4 to 6% on average. I think this year we just stuck it right in the middle at 5%, and this will cover any merit-based increases that take place. So as you go through the budgets, what I did was I actually reduced that line item for this year because there are certain departments, like the police department, that had already calculated a merit increase in there, so I reduced it. I took the police department out of that equation and figured that we were still safe at least reducing that line item to kind of offset some of the other increases. And then I really didn't change the figures too much. I mean, you'll see that some of the line items, like the software licensing, was reduced by 2,000. I actually added that into the service contracts. Part of that was the Office 365 subscriptions, which are now actually covered under our back bay support. We get each, certain users with town-assigned email addresses that get an Office 365 account. So we don't have to pay that additional $100 per subscription, so I bumped that out and moved it into the support side, so it's just a matter of moving it between the line items, not necessarily reducing it.
Is 13 a service contracts, is that also for the building cleaning crew?
No.
No.
Nope, this is strictly just computer and equipment. So this is IT, this is back bay support, so we have a monthly support for all the computers that are covered under that. For both the community center and the police department, and our copier maintenance for both the police department and the community center.
That's line 13.
Correct.
And half that increase came from, about half, 2,000 came from the line above it.
Correct. And the other part is, we recycled the photocopier that was in the administrative office over to the recycling center. We bought out the service contract, and so now we're just paying for like a maintenance now that we own it. So we've got that, and then we have the new service contract for the new photocopier that's in the administration office. And that was a little bit higher.
Pretty flat budget.
It's a pretty boring one.
Yep.
Stay tuned, there's more. So the next one would be financial administration, if you want to move forward to that.
Line 49.
So this is primarily the bookkeeper, the tax collector, the treasurer, anybody doing financial administration support. Largest changes would be to calculate any merit increases that were granted this year to move forward into next, with a starting salary line for each of those positions, and then very minimal changes in software support. You'll see that a lot of this stuff hasn't been expended yet because they invoice at the end of the year, so. Don't be too hopeful that there's a lot of money left over.
I mean, just random, why do you expect our registry of deeds to go down $100? It's pittance, but I'm just curious why we actually expect that to, the registry to be cheaper.
I was just trying to forecast based on actual expenditures and to,
Okay.
you know, figure exactly how many, I looked at the potential deeding list that Tracy's gonna be presenting to you for December, and, you know, the number of properties is actually low, so.
Okay.
Recording fees are only about $20 to $22 per document. Any questions?
No.
Again, pretty flat.
Assessing department. I don't think I did. Based on our 5-year contract with Avatar doing our assessing for us, there's no change in the contract price from 23 to 24. We do have some mapping updates that are going to be needed based on new subdivisions that have been approved, lot on mergers, et cetera. So just based on the contract that we have with CAI Technology, who does all of our map maintenance, I did feel that it was a good spot to increase that by $1,000. We do still have a bulk of that invoiced, the amount that was raised this year to be invoiced at the end of the year. We just received our map updates, I want to say probably a month ago, for the ones that would have gone into effect for April 1st this year, so we're a little bit behind on the billing, so that will be fully expended, the 5,000 plus maybe a little bit more. And then additionally, Avatar, which is our assessing software, I don't have an idea what that software support's going to be, but they did tell me that we could at least estimate a 3% increase across the board. Any questions on assessing?
No. Nope.
Okay. Legal? We have legal enforcement, which is $1, and then the town attorney, which is budgeted at $30,000. I kept it level funded because we don't know what we're going to run into for legal issues from time to time. Obviously, we're over budget now. We can adjust it. We can hope for the best. I do try to utilize New Hampshire Municipal's free service as much as possible. Some matters we just can't control, so. Questions on legal?
Nope.
Personal administration is everything related to. Our health insurance, we got our rate set by Health Trust in October. It's 12.7% increase. I think I might have stated at the budget committee, maybe one of the selectmen's meetings, that, you know, if you look at a 5-year cycle, we're part of a small employer pool with New Hampshire Health Trust, which gives us the ability to lock in at better rates than if we were just a small, under 50 employer trying to get our rates in the marketplace. So 12.7% could equate to an 8% decrease next year. We did see a decrease last year, so, I mean, that's why I'm saying, if you look at it over a 5-year period, it ebbs and flows, and for the most part, it averages out. So it is a shock to the system right now. It probably potentially a $50,000 increase, depending on what plan level needs the employees need, but that's what we're at. FICA Medicare, obviously, this is based on the salaries that have been proposed by the individual departments, so if there are any adjustments made down the road, then these would all be reflective. They change accordingly. Same thing with your retirement percentages. We do, for non-New Hampshire retirement sponsored positions, we do a match up to 6%, but it really depends on what the employee is contributing as to what that match would be. So we at least put it at the maximum. Any questions?
And all the other retirements, those are set by the,
By the New Hampshire retirement system,
Yeah.
correct. Yep, and those go into effect July 1st.
nope, it is what it is.
Planning board, the only comment that I received back from the chair was just that the Stratford Regional Planning dues are slightly going up. We had budgeted 6,500 in 2023, expended 6,372, and their estimate for services was gonna be 6,665, and that's based on the population and other demographics that they use to calculate in their dues membership. I think,
Are you talking total or one line item? What did I miss?
sorry, the line item's 115, it's a $165 increase. And then the only other thing that I adjusted, because it just keeps moving forward, is the master plan's overdue for updates. They had pushed forward a request in 2023 for a $1,000 budget just to be able to move forward with that update. I know that the planning board is trying to actively get that rolling again, and it would be difficult to do so on a dollar budget, so I did put something in there as a placeholder. John, do you have anything to add?
Nope. We haven't even got a committee together or anything, so we're in the very, very beginning.
But you're saying the 102 planner?
Nope, the 112 planning board master plan.
But I mean, overall,
Yep.
they're just extra busy with the Seacoast Regional. Is that the budget?
I don't know how much, I mean, they've expended 17,000 out of their planning assistance that they received from our rep from Stratford Regional.
Okay.
I just kept that level funded because, again, if it's a lot of changes that are gonna be a result of master plan updates and subdivision regulations, we did the fees update this year. I don't know, that's a potential area that we may be able to reduce it slightly. Any other questions?
None.
Okay. The zoning board is level funded. Primarily expenses are there to be expended, and then most of it comes back from the applicant between the abutters notices and the
Okay, yeah, this doesn't
the
show.
advertising fees.
This doesn't show the inputs.
It doesn't
just-
show, yeah, it doesn't show the revenue side of it. Next would be town hall and other buildings. This is where we have all of our cleaning maintenance, building maintenance, electricity, heating oils. The biggest change is we went from a part-time cleaner to a contracted cleaning company. That increase is $2,965 per year. However, we're not paying the payroll tax side of what we were paying for a wage. So it actually equals out to be about the same as what we were paying a part-time cleaner. Other changes, mowing and shoveling, we were not able to secure somebody to do the shoveling at the town buildings last year. We do have somebody that is willing to take that on this year. So as long as we don't have a super wet season in the beginning of the summer, I do expect that, I mean, most of this budget line 128 was taken up by the mowing, and that leaves nothing for the snow shoveling, so I did increase that by $1,000 to cover both. These building maintenance line items, once you go through and do your facilities committee review and prioritize your projects, these could be changing. Unless you are going to maybe put together a warrant article so there's no operating budget impact. But most of this stuff has been level funded with the exception of the old fire building because it is not receiving any maintenance line items right now, so I just plugged in a figure of $2,500. For conversation purposes, electric is going to be dependent on what the rates are. We do get quite a kickback from having the solar panels installed, and that most of those adjustments get made at the end of the year. I did make some slight adjustments just based on year-to-date. I mean, I think we were all projecting that electric rates were going to skyrocket and that they would be there permanently, but obviously we started to see them stabilize after the first quarter. And then I just played around with the figures for the heat for all the buildings based on the rates that we got for the propane and the heating oil this year. Last year, it was not put out to bid, just in the transition between the previous town administrator and the interim, we never went out to bid, so we were just paying whatever the going rate was for this past year. So now we do have some competitive rates to work with, and I didn't want to adjust things too much, not knowing what the winter is going to bring. So that is a minimal change as well. Any questions? Right. Cemeteries are level funded. A lot of the mowing for the cemeteries is coming out of perpetual care. So, insurance rates between workers' comp and property liability, those are based on what Primex tells us, and it's based on our claims rating. Workers' comp claims that have been filed, going rates, et cetera, et cetera. So those are 10% and 9% respectively. The insurance other deductible, obviously we do have a deductible, so if we have an accident with a vehicle or what have you, it's $1,000 per instance, so that's a placeholder for if something should happen.
Do we have anybody out on workers' comp right now?
Currently, no.
Good.
Just quickly on the cemeteries, 164, road upgrade 0, but are all the roads, everything's accessible, no washouts or anything from?
I think for the most part, the highway department's been stepping in and just taking care of it.
Okay.
And then we've already done police, fire, So the next line would be 231, moving into the building inspector. And the only update that was made to this budget is, the state of New Hampshire just adopted the 2020, I'm sorry, 2020? No, I'm correct. The 2020 building code. They've been several years, they've always been behind, but they just recently caught up to 2018, I think 18 months ago or so, and now they've just adopted 2020. So the ICC code updates, there's reference books, and the entire series is approximately $1,500 to purchase. So that would be something that we'd be looking to have available for the inspector. It would include the electrical code, building code. There's a whole series of them. I can't think of what they are off the top of my head, but, so that's the only change that's been made to that department's budget. You all set with that one? Mm-hmm. All right, moving down to Highway Department, 259. I have not made many changes to this budget at all. The biggest reason is because we just brought on a highway director today, and I would like to give him the opportunity to digest what he has to work with and see if it will fit. So this may change. I'd like to sit down with him this week and, you know, see if we can put something together, maybe a little bit more firm for you to review next week. We have to look at the road maintenance plan that's in place. We're several years behind, but at least kind of pick up the pieces where we are and see like what the next paving projects would be. We're finally back at full staff across the board in the department, so we at least have the wages covered for that. But even subcontracted work, you know, to see if maybe we can lessen the load of subcontracted work and put some of the responsibility back on the highway workers. We've been shorthanded for so long. We leaned very heavily on subcontractors. So this one I would like to, you know, have them digest and possibly table for further discussion next week at the regular selectmen's meeting. And I would like to say the same with the solid waste department, which would be a recycling center starting on 284. I did make some adjustments in there, and that's based on the new 5-year contract extension that we signed with Waste Management, but there are still some figures that we're pulling together from Casella, some container needs, additional things.
All of them.
All of them. 2 are on their way. Yep,
Containers?
Casella's- Yep. Casella's gonna swap out 2 of the really bad ones. And then we're just waiting to hear if we can get a hold of a glass container as well.
At no charge, I'm assuming.
Any questions on those? Are you okay with moving those, pushing those back to Monday? Mm-hmm. Okay. Animal control, we transitioned people. Melissa Bacon has been doing it for a little while now. When I brought her on shortly after I started, she was looking for an increase in pay just based on the volume and in the response and everything. And at the time, I didn't feel comfortable not being familiar enough with the budget and then knowing that we were in a situation with a tax cap. So I just asked her if she would, you know, commit for this year, and then we could move forward and increase in her pay for the upcoming budget. So that's what I'm proposing, is a slight increase for her, which is paid on a stipend basis monthly. And then we go on to the general assistance. Level funded, obviously, we haven't had to expend a whole lot. Sue Benoit, our welfare director, is extremely good at finding programs and assistance elsewhere without paying, using taxpayer money. But if there is a need that presents itself, we are potentially on the hook for it. So I wouldn't recommend doing anything with this budget if we don't have to. And again, it's proposed at level funding. And then when you get into the social services, I have several agencies. I have 3, see, six agencies that I don't believe we've received a request for funding from, and I just want to reach out to them. I would rather see if maybe lost in the mail or lost in somebody's email somewhere before we don't have funding to provide for a service that they provide to the community members. So this is another one that I would like to get a little bit more information and carry forward to Monday's meeting.
I think some of them typically wait until the last minute, it seems.
And let's see, Historical Society, that one I have in there for level funding. I haven't received any requests for additional funds for that. And then the debt service, Betsy's adjusted that. We still have the principal and interest for the landfill. This is our last year, I believe. 2024 will close out that loan with the state revolving. And that is almost the budget. So what I'd like to do is get the recycling, the highway department, and the social services plugged in for next week. Come up with a draft that you can review at the, what would that be, the 16th of November meeting. The budget committee will be reviewing, so they meet with the department heads on the 16th. They get their little spiel with the department heads then, and then they're going to be reviewing the first draft of the operating budget on November 30th. So if I can pull this all together for the 16th for us to review a draft, and we might have to schedule a meeting in between the 16th and the 30th if we need to start fine tuning to get closer to the tax cap of 4%. Any questions? Overwhelmed?
Maybe a little bit.
That number is not super close to 4.
Yeah, but, and don't pay attention to the bottom line, because I still have to make sure that all the totals carry forward and everything. It realistically is probably spot on.
Now, is this 382 number, is that correct from?
Yeah, so so if you take the 2023 budget as approved, the 4,850,366, our 4% tax cap, the bottom line number that we're looking at is $5,044,380. The only difference is what we have for offsetting revenue.
And we don't know that. Yeah, that's like what they had last year, though. I remember that note from last year.
Yep, that is last year's note. That's more of the narrative that carried forward on the worksheet.
Yeah. Facilities committee.
Questions, comments, anything else on the budget?
Anything you'd like to see? Anything else you'd like to see? More detail?
I think there's a fair amount to digest here.
Yeah, I mean, we might need more detail on some line items. for
I'd like to say.
Going to the budget committee to be able to like speak to it a little bit better. Some of them are just like,
I'd like to say, I'm hoping that we're following, past process for this, but since 3 of you don't know, and myself, how's it looking?
oh, you're in the budget. Actually, Tim.
I was on the budget committee, though. I wasn't
Yeah, you were,
part of this
okay.
process. This side, I was on the other end.
Sure.
to make some difficult decisions. Not gonna be so fun to do.
A lot of money, get them to the 4% cap.
But if you look through a lot of the stuff that hasn't been touched either, you said some of it's gonna be potentially used up by the end of the year, but we might just be able to get smart on numbers that don't get used if something's always historically 2,000 instead of 4,000.
Gonna need a bunch of those.
A lot of those.
Yes.
Starting optimistic.
Yes, keep that attitude. Perfect.
Anything extra you want to discuss here, or you can take that home? We can move on to the facilities one.
I think we should just digest this, and we'll move right on to the facility.
Do we have a time when we're actually gonna be going back over this with the public and start talking about what we think we should start cutting? Do we have a date?
Is that what you said sometime between the,
Well, we'll have to have our draft operating budget to the budget committee for their review at their meeting on November 30th. So I'm thinking if we wrap up the three budgets, the recycling, the highway, and the social services next week, I can have a draft to you for the 16th. And then you'll probably have to meet again before the 30th to fine tune it.
16th is a Thursday?
yeah, the third, I think you meant,
13th, maybe?
no, that's
Yeah,
not the
whatever the
regular,
Monday meeting is, the next Monday meeting,
the 6th.
the 6th. All right, so we're meeting the 6th, so we'll go over those three budgets, and then 13th, so it would be the 20th, is your next meeting, your next regularly scheduled meeting.
Right, so we must have,
Well, there's gonna be a lot of discussion.
It is,
Should we add another meeting?
yes?
We might, yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
13th?
I can't do the 13th, but
I can't do the 13th.
Hey, I'm available. It's a,
Steve?
whatever.
I'll make it work. I do have another meeting, but
I can do the 13th.
I don't know if you just want more of us, if you're gonna,
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I can do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I don't, whatever day.
Right, doesn't have to
Friday,
be
it
a
doesn't matter to me.
Monday.
what?
I'm open for whatever day's available, as long as it's at 6 o'clock at night or later.
Tim, when's CIP meeting?
that's the
The
14th,
14th.
yeah.
The what?
CIP.
CIP.
Oh, CIP, sorry.
I could potentially do the 16th.
I think that's the budget committee.
Oh, that's the budget committee, yeah, so that's not gonna work.
And that's when they're meeting with the department heads. So they'll need the space. So if you're meeting on the 20th, I'm thinking that you should probably meet again
The 27th.
the 27th.
That works for me.
I can do the 27th.
You can do it.
Yeah, it's one day I don't have a meeting, so,
Okay. 27th.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Might as well fill it in.
Yeah, might as well.
And then hopefully between the various meetings up to that point, we should have more.
And it will be another special meeting like tonight where this will be the only topic. Or unless there's something else that needs to be added into it.
I would just, if you can, I know that we've gotten their Christmas lists, but maybe they're like real lists, see what anybody thinks. Or where the hard numbers are at and where there's, I don't wanna destroy something that they were really, whatever. basically it's just paying people. That's the base of it.
Okay, so are we ready to move on to the facility assessment?
Yep.
Sure.
All right. Charlotte? Gary?
Sure.
Folks?
Grab all the chairs.
We're looking forward to following that previous discussion with our report. We had all year to get it to you, and this was not the best day, was it?
It's all right.
Four out of five.
That's good. Welcome. All right, so, a lot to digest here. Do you want to go over each facility, just kind of highlight it, or do you, I mean, does the board have any questions that you want to attack first, or?
Yeah, so they had come and I don't think you were at the meeting when they came and presented this whole.
Yeah. No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
Right, we kind of did the overview of
Yeah.
it.
All right.
Now
I
we're
think what we
in,
really need to talk about is,
Prioritizing.
right,
Action.
what, when, and where, how.
Well, yeah, that's right.
and then there's two things, right? There's the utilizing the one property maintenance fund if we find the spots in here for that, and then the rest of the building maintenance.
So I looked at the Warren article, and I didn't bring my town report with me tonight. I had it last week.
It says to contract.
It says to contract with a property maintenance company for $40,000 to handle the building maintenance needs. But it says, the way the Warren article is written, because I was thinking we're so late in the year now, I mean, we've got a month and a half to potentially expend that. It says to be spent in the calendar year. So technically, you as a board, if we contract with somebody, we can encumber those funds, so we don't have to raise them again for 2024, if that's your intention. But we also need some clarification on, whether that $40,000 is just for somebody to come in and manage the oversight, or if that $40,000 is also for, the labor and materials to carry out some of these projects as well. And I don't know if you can provide any insight on that.
Well, Gary was the driver of that.
Well, really to have twofold, somebody to manage that and then execute it. So however that really happens, it's kind of you need both pieces of it.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding was our priority was the management, and it's a bonus if someone can also do some of the work. And my understanding is that perhaps someone has stepped forward to,
I do have somebody that has stepped forward with interest, correct?
which I support.
Okay.
So maybe I have just two words, kind of starting words, if you will, health and safety. And I think that, is a place to start.
Nope, I agree with that one.
In this building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, just want to make sure that we're clear on which building we're talking about, because there's health and safety issues in all of them, so.
And I think both Gary and Paul had said there's some low-hanging fruit here, one of which would be cleaning out this back area and making it safe and hopefully less vulnerable to vandalism, rodents.
We do have a plan in place where should the new person come in that they're going to board all that up. But we're going to be putting a warrant article forward to gut that building.
Okay. So
If we're referring to the way back.
yes, I am.
And then just, we'll reassess everything after that. But it'll be boarded up and secured, and, there'll be no
Cleaned out.
access back there going forward, once we have the management and all that in place.
Great to hear that.
And relatively.
Well, I think it's important to get that piece done before
Yes.
we even think about spending money on, this area, is knowing what we've got for usable space back there and then just planning.
Seems to be the root of all our evils right now.
Yeah.
So you're saying that some of that 40,000 needs to be expended for that, or is there other funds for that?
That alone is going to be quite an undertaking, so to be honest with you, a warrant article would be for that one. Because I'm just gonna take a stab at it. It could be upwards around 100,000 to gut that, because there's asbestos, or not asbestos, but there's, mold, black mold, all kinds of stuff that's going in there. It could be serious health issues, as well. So it's probably gonna take like a company like Surf Pro or something to go in there and totally do what they do as far as, taking everything out. Yeah.
And then the structure,
It's-
structure needs to be reinforced too.
Right, and folks, just, Gary, well, you folks have been back there, but I mean, the insulation alone is just soaked with,
Rainwater.
critter and rainwater and all that
Let's
other
just call it
stuff.
rainwater.
So, yeah, it's a health issue, so, that's why I feel that, and I'm sure the board will agree with me, a warrant article will be more prudent for that.
And get an estimate or a couple estimates?
Oh, absolutely,
But
we'll have estimates in place.
I think that having that person that can actually figure that out,
happen.
right.
And we can hopefully utilize, I know Charlotte, you had given some information, there's programs out there like the Community Development Block Grant. I mean, we can certainly apply and try to get some grant funding for it, but we have to get the ball rolling, like, we have to raise the money for at least the portion that we're expecting, and then anything that we would get back out of grant funding would be a bonus.
So the person that's interested in the role, are they looking for like just a part-time gig permanently, or is it more of they want to do a contract type of?
I would have to have that conversation with them further. It was a very brief discussion
Okay.
that I've had so far.
Who is it? I'm just kidding.
But I mean, one of the biggest things that I wanted to do, so I could continue that conversation, is get a feel for everybody's interpretation of how the 40,000 is to be allocated. Because if it's strictly for management and then, maybe able to incorporate some small stuff into it, then that's great. But I was looking at it as saying, okay, well, if it's $40,000, we're supposed to pay somebody for their expertise or their ability to bring a contractor in and then also make this magic happen. We're probably way out of line. So I'm glad that, everybody seems to be on the same page about that it is strictly for the management end of it, or for the most part.
Yeah, we need to get things started.
So based on what Tim had said, if we were to prioritize it, I would say this would be the building that we would start with. If the rest of the board would be in agreement with that, just because of the critter issues that we've been having, as well as some other issues, the back and so on. But we'll address
But
others.
could this person also be the contact person for all the?
For all the
departments,
facilities.
For all the facilities,
Yep.
because I think that's the big piece is missing also.
We really have to have a job description, right, for that person. So
Job description posted so that's available for other interested parties, probably.
Yep.
It's good to know somebody's interested.
So what else do you see as urgent?
Getting the police out of here.
Yes.
And into the fires.
Well, that's gonna be a
So
long-term goal.
Well, they're on the CIP plan,
Right.
and I suspect that, it's a matter of finding where we're gonna put them. I know originally the thought process was to attach them to the fire station, which is still a real possibility, probably the only one that makes sense at this point, but we're still in the beginning stages with that. So I do know that they'll be taking funds out in preparation for a new police department, I think this budget coming up, in the CIP plan, so, if not, next year. But we're making, it's on the CIP plan.
Yeah, I think that's like the next chess piece in a way,
Yeah, and I
to
think-
clear this up. And also, if the clearing out of the back and securing it really does run to $100,000, is it worth it? Keep that.
Well, and again, the person who's gonna evaluate it can give us that input. I mean, we've had some folks already take a look at it and said the bones are still pretty good.
Right.
Yeah,
You know, it's just the walls and the ceiling and the roof, obviously, but I mean, there's the steel structure, I mean, maybe just coat it and paint it and then, you know, be all set.
Yeah, those elements that would make it snow load safe.
Right.
Stays closed.
Our entire electric supply is in that.
Oh,
That's-
hello.
It's in the girls' restroom that's out there, so.
I mean, if you were to look at just $100,000 to clean it and then, you know, another, but even if you made it one big open space, that maybe would allow rec to be able to run more of their programs, but a new building anywhere near that size is probably gonna cost you $1 million or more. It's just, everything seems to be like $1 million nowadays.
And to be honest with you, I think that is something the town should be looking at down the road as well, as a new community center, because this building, you've already pointed it out. So, didn't say tomorrow, John, I said down the road. So,
Well, but I think just in terms of viability to get that cleaned out, it shouldn't be building.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we probably need to start moving towards something, right? I mean,
Are there any-
identify something. I mean, we said this building, but the money that we're talking about is not gonna take care of the back half of the building. The person is gonna come in. We still have some of the building funds we have now.
So what we should do back there for the time being is wall it off. You know, to ensure that nobody goes back there, it's locked door, everything.
Our biggest issue is that we have a lot of stuff that's being stored out there that we still need access to, so.
Right.
Until we find a solution for those documents to be.
How much
I
does the
can't even
Conex
say
cost?
safely. Conex? Yeah, we're probably looking at 4,000 to 5,000.
Yep. That's, yeah, but weigh that out with health issues going in and back, going back there in and out.
There are paper records out there, yeah, and it's, you know, it's probably stuff that, you know, under the retention schedule, we have to keep forever, but
I think there's some
we
that can
can't
get
even
rid of.
guarantee that it's in a safe condition. I mean, at any time, the roof could let go and.
What about one of those off-site storage facilities that he looked at? An estimate, move some of that up there?
That's what we'll have to do before we really take any action towards closing it
How much
off,
stuff is back there?
you know. There's a lot.
How much stuff that's needed, I mean,
We need a dumpster. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can be disposed of, but we need a dumpster to get
Just a
rid
few
of.
years ago.
Not
we
for
had a
cleaning, I
dumpster
don't give a
back there.
Are
crap.
you talking about the important stuff?
The important stuff.
I would probably, I mean, there's at least a full closet of assessing records and legal
Is it a
documents.
12 by 12 area that we need to find to put it all in, or will a 12 by 16 area be enough area to put everything that's important into a safe?
Move out of my office, it could fit in there.
could we move it to the old town hall?
Don't make plans if you don't want to, so I'm just kidding.
Or the old church.
Could we move it to the old town hall?
Well, I mean, the old town hall has that whole back area that just sits there.
That's what,
It's weather tight.
yeah,
We don't
It's
need
not
heat.
heated.
That doesn't matter,
no, I know,
but it's accessible.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to give you an idea, so I could, you know, thinking of it off the top of my head, I could probably fit what's out there easily in my office.
You don't want that in your office.
She doesn't,
saying
she's
for
giving you
sizing
size.
requirements.
The area back there is the size of your office in the old town hall. The part of the stage or whatever you want to call it
Yeah,
back there.
behind
And
that
then
wall
there's-
there, yeah.
Behind that wall there area is space where we could stack everything in.
Okay, I know where you're talking, yeah, because the SAU office has file cabinets and stuff that they're using out there now.
That's right, they do.
It's actually got quite a few file cabinets.
It does,
On that stage now.
yes.
Because they've got the Conservation Commission.
You
stuff
tried.
that's gonna-
Yeah, well, the conservation, so the conservation commission files I want out of that hallway anyways, I was gonna move them into the community room. Because then they're at least, I mean, they meet in the conference room anyways, it's across the hall, and it keeps them from going out there. I mean, we're talking about solutions to small pieces of this puzzle right now that we don't need to be.
Are these things ever scanned or digitalized?
They have not been digitized yet. Stratford Regional has a mobile scanning unit that we can borrow. It's great for voluminous stuff. They'll lend it out for 2 weeks at a time. You just earmark but we have to figure out what documents are to be prioritized, and then somebody to task to just do that for a 2-week period. So I have that in the back of my mind as, you know, maybe like a winter project or spring cleaning or something, sometime when we have free time, which is not now. But
Were there any things in this report that jumped out to you that could also be warrant articles?
Well,
All of them.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
the one that jumps out to me is obviously the police department, but the highway department trying to find some sort of small space to allow the plow drivers on. Right now, they're just kind of like sleeping in the trucks, but at the same time, we kind of need the trucks to keep moving, so we need a place to afford the guys. If we have a rotation, we've talked to, maybe I just talked to Ellen, but even like renting one of those like portable, office structures that could at least be put there relatively cost affordable until years down the road, it would give them some place to, they have a bathroom, but there's that. We've talked about heat for the Old Town Hall to allow more function space for groups, because we're running out of usable space in this building where people are, when Courtney was sitting here, every room is double, triple booked. We have people going everywhere, so that would open up definitely a lot of space for larger groups to use without reducing the functionality for some of the stuff over here. That's not,
You got a ballpark for what it would cost for the heat for the old?
We did get a quote from Bodette at one point. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but I think they recommended a minimum of 2 mini split units over there, and that would be the most cost-effective, less evasive way to put it.
it's probably
in, since we have one,
$10,000-ish dollars. It's usually about $5,000 a unit-ish, which isn't horrible.
Plus,
What?
it'll be,
8, 9.
Okay.
plus
I
it would
thought there was-
preserve the building better, just to have conditioned space there. Whether it's, constant, how much it's used, even just on low, year-round is gonna be much better than.
I don't think mini split's gonna be an option for year-round use, though.
It is in the SAU office. I know it's been renovated and it's a smaller space, but it's actually working really well in there.
We're
just
not
that
talking
you're
about
gonna deal
like
with the-
free, it's not heated now, so you're not worried about for the periods of time where
Depends on what you're trying to accomplish.
the 6 days in a row, we would just understand maybe on certain days it's not a usable space for, if it gets negative 30 out, probably people aren't gonna come out of their houses to go to the pool meeting, I don't know.
Even if it was a pre-season use, it would be helpful.
Right.
And libraries, probably, for activities too.
And then just obviously safety and everywhere, like broken fence here, whatever, just keeping everything, I think at least securing the building so that we're not losing ground, you know what I mean, in terms of just weather tight, everything, even the back is, but I don't know which one is the one to protect first.
Well, personally, I think you ought to secure that somehow. We still need access. 'Cause like Ellen said, our power's out there, so we need to get back there for power reasons. Recycling center probably needs some attention. Not a lot of attention. Well, it needs a lot, but I'm saying, minimal amount of attention would make it safe and,
Safety is the key
Right.
word there.
right.
Exterior ramps and
Salt shed, I don't know how bad a shape that's in.
I think you got it.
no,
We don't want it to. Yeah. So that's why we're kinda looking at you guys to give us that.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Well, you went out and assessed everything, so yeah.
Done?
When you say salt shed, are you talking about the road department, or are you talking about the salt shed?
Down this town pit.
we just recovered all those,
Yeah,
paid
that
for all that
was-
stuff, so that's all done.
The concrete
Okay.
at the bottom that was shifting, right?
Yeah, but we just bought all new covers.
Yeah.
They're in good
it's
shape.
still-
Those will last.
Those will last the time we need it.
It'll last.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe the space for the plow drivers comes up to the next.
Yeah, but you know what? If I'm a plow driver, I'm used to sleeping in my truck,
That's not,
We did.
but it is.
we're
Th-
trying
there's-
to
there's-
retain employees.
There's very few towns that will have sleeping quarters for their,
But they're basically
Plow
eating
drivers.
lunch sitting in the toilet. I mean,
well, that's a
just
pretty
like no,
crappy
there's no-
situation, isn't it?
It is.
This meeting is being recorded.
The recycling center needs the adjustments for the walkways going up.
Right.
Those are heavily trafficked area.
Which one?
The recycling center.
Going to throw
Yes.
stuff in the chute.
I mean, that is probably one of the most high-trafficked area. It's probably used more than the town office.
Yep.
I mean, if we're gonna prioritize something that the community is using the most, we should probably start focusing our money, or what money we can get, on projects that people are gonna need as a need instead of a want. And the recycling center is a need.
Yep.
So the cost it is to fix, to redo the ramps, to redo what they need to, to keep things up to code, because really wasn't doing too well, but I think it maybe passed code, but not to where it should be for, the amount of people going in and out of that building. Our focus probably should be, if we had to say we needed $100,000 to put somewhere, my mind, $100,000 of taxpayer money would probably go to invest into that area there, or 50 or something, besides doing this back here.
Besides, or in addition?
Before doing this back here, I'd say we take care of that building. That's just my opinion, because that's a place where everybody's gonna be using. That's a place people are going on Saturdays, Sundays, excuse me, Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays. Because we all know that there's room of improvement everywhere around there. From the access, the parking, how the design is, the building itself, the interior machinery that's working in there. The heating system, great, happy it keeps working on the recycled oil, but that's, there's just.
So here's your problem. You don't wanna dump that kind of money into that building if we're not gonna keep it.
Are we not keeping it? Is there,
don't know.
again, we're saying right
That's what we
now.
need to decide.
Well-
What's the long-term plan? Are you gonna
Well,
build
you-
another building down at the town pit like they suggested? Then maybe we can get by with a $10,000 fix.
What does $10,000 fix nowadays? Nothing.
For immediate safety, like the ramps, the access to the cans.
I get us
Right.
where I am.
Right. Which are, I agree with your point.
If we put a new recycling center down at town, how much is that gonna be? 200,000?
It's gonna be a-
300,000?
Wouldn't be more than that.
Well, you might as well kiss the fire department, or police department's thing, that's not gonna, you can't
Correct.
tell the town of Nottingham in the next 5 years, hey, by the way, residents, we wanna spend $5 million or $8 million in upgrades and renovations, and watch people's taxes go from $18 per thousand to 30, because we decided to spend 5 years, $8 million.
Agree.
And then a new school in between.
Don't even go, that's not even us.
Well, I'm
not
just
even
saying,
us.
let's think realistically.
But again, there's another big problem.
Right.
In my mindset is, can we get the recycle center to make it 10 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you can make the recycling center last that long.
All right?
We
Or
can
again,
reorganize a little bit, make it safer, but for what it handles, with a little bit of whatever, that building could probably last that long. You don't need to redo the roof, you paint the exterior to make sure that it's weather tight, replace anything worn, and then the back where they keep the vehicles, they need to,
So would it be better off, and again, we haven't got to talking about exactly what we're setting up for warrant
Right.
articles yet, but this is just food for thought while we're sitting here on talking about buildings.
I think it would be important to get some kind of projections for how many people are using the recycling center, because the number seems to be dropping. The last department head told us, less than 25% of households use the recycling center. And just observationally, it seems like more and more people are using private trash companies. So that was the figure that we were given, less than 25% of the households use that recycling center. And if it were to go up, that's what we told.
But our shipping out of that has gone up over the past 3 years.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I don't
Yeah, the
think that
household waste going
25%
in
number is correct. I would say 25%.
I don't know where you get I don't know how you get the number.
You would never be able to tell, because there are plenty of people that use the facility maybe only once a month, but it might be a much larger load of like debris. They're not using it weekly. They're using trash busters or
So
something.
even, yeah, talking about the quantity of trash rather than the number of people, of
Right.
course, is important too, but I don't think we know. And apparently, I mean,
Yeah, other towns have put out survey items.
Well, I know,
If we, asking people what they think about some of these things and how,
in NRA, the company that had come in to kind of assess the facility, and Ellen and I walked with them, they actually, we can ask them, because they had somebody in Guilford do it for 3 weeks before they built their center, is basically just sit there and count. And they look at license plates, they look at the color of the vehicles, and they basically try to track unique entries so that you can get an idea as far as how many different people are coming to the facility and using it.
And actually, the purpose initially to come out with stickers, how long ago now, was what would have been one of the reasons, however, it kind of backfired. But it would have been a way to keep track of who's using.
We were trying to get $5 to 10 to giving it away to nothing.
Exactly.
Did a really good job on that one. We got no. Look at our line item, we're paying for stickers on top of it. Okay,
I wasn't gonna say that.
You don't know where I got.
but maybe a step is to put together what are some of the questions that we want to know how the town residents feel about it, just writing a casual, informal survey that could be compiled to get some feedback, with nothing binding about, would that be an idea?
I think it would be supportive for any decisions that you guys make, to have town support or to know, you don't want to, it is hard to make these decisions.
Right, I mean, I think that goes to long-term.
Well, it goes to data that's necessary. You can't go to the town and say, we want to drop 150,000 or 200,000 on the recycling center, and then not know how many people are actually town using it.
Correct.
You know, if 50 or 60% of the town is using the recycling center, asking the residents to pay, or asking, a warrant article or something to go through and saying, hey, your tax rates, or might go up $1 per thousand or whatever. But if it's the greater good for 60 to 70% of the town, that seems to be a logical thing to do.
If that's what the taxpayers want, but.
Well, they have to still vote on it, but at least you can show the research, you're not doing it for a declining, you're not spending money on something that's not going in the right direction, or for,
And I do remember, it was
for production.
but we were touring the facility that
I
Sean
thought
told us.
I thought he said 50%, but you could be right.
I'd question that.
In fact, because I was pretty shocked too, and questioned it. I said, really? So I don't know where they came up with that figure, but that's what we were told when we were doing the facilities.
Anyway, resident input would be better from that perspective rather than when it's time to vote.
Right,
It's a-
exactly.
Right.
It's kind of an education
Leading up to
process,
it.
right?
Yeah.
But
And it would
We're,
get
we're
people-
meeting here right now to try to talk, to workshop where to spend the money. So the 40,000 we're saying is for this person to help drive some resolution and give us some quotes and some stuff, but we are running out of time, being October 30th today. That, and then our building funds, what do we have available left in that? I don't remember anymore.
We're at like 15,000, and we have a couple of pending things that we're waiting for the bottom line to decide whether or not we need to pull additional, other things that we've had to repair.
So are we
We've got
expecting to
40,000
make,
able to roll,
are we expecting to do
If
anything
we spend it this year.
with this?
has to be.
So you can contract, spend it in advance.
Correct. But then anything else would be like the smaller items if we thought we had the money, if we needed to take care of immediate stuff, which I think there's a few items over at the recycling center, and partitioning off the back isn't gonna be super expensive, but if you look at I don't know what we have to spend right now fully, but building a ramp, the ramp is falling apart. We either need to build a wood one or get a metal one, and where the people go to put cans on the side of the trailer, I can just see some kid falling down in between that and the barrier. And like that, you're like, that's like a need, it needs railings, it needs something so that somebody going up doesn't get distracted and turn around, fall backwards, and then we're at a much worse spot, because we're not taking the cans inside, well, it gives and takes, we're taking the cans somewhat inside and outside. Out back, block it off, but we gotta make something.
We've got to phase it or something.
Yeah.
we gotta do maybe the little stuff that we can handle right now within this year's budget, and then we'll have to have a plan with whoever we're contracting for the 40 to make a plan to start attacking next year. We gotta do something.
So prioritizing, finding some, this.
Yeah, I mean, it's, as we've mentioned, the glare, that is a health and safety thing. We gotta get this stuff out of storage. It's probably gonna take a little bit of money, even if we bought a convex, and put that on the backside, at least to store something, that's $4,000. Let's eliminate the safety and health in the back. Let's eliminate the safety and health over recycling center. Anywhere else, like, is there some form of paving, tripping hazard somewhere we gotta take care of now? What can we do? And then we start chewing on to the real sandwich. It's like the appetizer right now. Just little bites. Little bites.
But we're gonna have the same warrant article we had last year for building maintenance is going in.
Yes.
So using that, where are we gonna spend that money next year?
That's
Probably where we should be talking about here, and what we're looking at this year.
Yeah.
If that number, we need to go ask Nottingham, if that number needs to go up 20,000, 25,000 because of what we see here in these reports. Because by not doing that, we're doing the same thing we've done for years in this town, is delay the inevitable and push it down
But
the road.
if you have somebody in that role,
We hope.
Yeah.
We don't have it yet.
no, but I think, but that's,
And we don't even know if we're gonna have them the
in order
next
for all
month.
this to happen though, we've gotta
We've
have
had
somebody.
people come up, we thought they were gonna be here, and they just never showed up.
Yeah.
You know, or something came up, and something happened, and
But even Ellen said, I mean, worst comes to worst, the maintenance company that we currently use, that's a service they also provide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're not.
But
To do it, we waited way too long. This town's falling apart. It's a shame. I drive around to other surrounding communities, it's really a crying shame.
it's tough, because I agree, we wanna
It's disgusting.
improve the stuff, but at the same time, we don't wanna throw a $10 million budget at people.
well, we found this year that we were able to spend every bit that we got.
Yeah.
You got that?
Without even, I mean, really, we were able to spend everything that came in front of us, that we needed. And again, there was projects that we're still talking about next year that we're gonna need. So for whatever this warrant, whatever the number's gonna be for, we put on that warrant article for repairs, again, part of the things that we need to know is where we're prioritizing those repairs, so that we can ask for an adequate number, but not a disrespectful number of too much,
Correct.
but a number that we can actually show some good progress next year, and then build up to the bigger, if we get somebody to work here, his whole next year is gonna be designing on what's gonna go on for the next year after that budget, in order to maybe see major changes in
We're gonna have to get them
facilities.
to go to the CIP, because obviously this person's gonna be chewing on some of the same stuff that CIP, because like you said, you don't wanna go and repair something you're gonna replace soon.
Right, but you need to repair the stuff that needs to be repaired for
To be
public
honest with you,
safety.
though, I don't think the CIP, I don't even think in their schedule, I don't think we have anything about building transition in the near future. And when I say near future, I mean, it's scheduled out to what, 2027,
Yeah.
2028?
I know the police department, like John had mentioned, the police department, or Ben had mentioned, the police department is on there. But
Yeah, but things that get on there can keep getting pushed next
They
year.
do.
That-
Everything's-
Pushed next
it's
year.
like it
get
keeps
pushed
rolling.
Next year.
The 40,000 too was mentioned, is this person we're talking about able to take on small,
It's a
like,
property maintenance company is the way it's worded. It's not a person. It's not going to be a hired individual. It's,
I mean, I think,
I thought it said company or person.
we're talking about the cleaning company that we currently use and the service, is that what
well,
you're
no, but I'm not, for the 40,000, the way the warrant article's written,
Yeah.
I think it was to get like a person or a property company or person, are they able to handle small jobs, like if there's trim or broken stuff, like are they gonna be able to
can
just?
they fix a doorknob? Can they change a light bulb?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Ideally, that would be the candidate that we would be looking for, but we'd have to outline that all in a job description, so we know what we're looking for.
Share that.
Did you get the job descriptions from the other towns?
For the property maintenance, I do have some for consideration, but it was,
I found one in the newspaper for Barrington that I gave to Gary. Did you give it to her?
No, I didn't.
The job description.
Scary again.
Anyway, there
I
are
can,
templates.
I can find it where Barrington recently hired a facilities manager guy, and it detailed all the things that he had to do, and it gave a salary range and so forth, and it was within your budget, so I can share that with you. I'll send it down.
And in the future, as far as the police go, I mean, there is federal money as well to be used for improving, and especially if they're having any problems with their accreditation because of the building. There should be some state, federal funds to help offset things like that. I can still the cost, but it's optimistic.
So how are we leaving this? Are we picking something? I don't know how to get out of this. Are we just talking more, or
Well,
are
I
we
think-
doing?
We need to, when do you think you'll know if this person,
Well, I think, like Paul had said, I mean, I do think that we need to come up with a description so they understand the scope of the work that we're looking for, and then we should publicly advertise it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see that we have somebody in the position, I mean, not to delay things further, but, I mean, give it at least 2 weeks exposure, maybe I could pull something together and have some interested candidates forward for you for the 20th meeting, I think,
No, next week,
would be next week.
6th.
Can't have it that quickly.
I'll help you.
You want people to respond?
A description
But, so
first
for
for next
the,
week.
No, not a description, but like,
That's template, I think maybe you can.
yeah, we can probably fly with, you know, a basic template and just have the people that apply understand that it's going to be subject to change based on the needs and whatever we have going, you know. Here's a basic list of what we're looking for out of somebody that would fill the position. And then, like I said, openly advertise it for 2 weeks, like I said, so we could potentially have some candidates to come forward to you in 2 weeks.
And this would be
At a minimum.
part-time position, right?
Have to be.
Yeah,
Yeah. So don't give up your day job.
right.
and do we, yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be able to utilize, you're gonna pay them, yeah. I guess if you signed a 1-year contract, you could,
Potentially encumber the monies that are left over unexpended, correct?
Because I know we just need to, we need somebody to get quotes so that we know what the potential costs are for, would it be cleaning up,
just saying, yeah.
doing the recycling center.
two weeks to talk to somebody.
Yep.
And then they're just gonna be dropped into the pool, the deep end, and then you're hoping that,
Yeah, welcome aboard.
all right,
And you're gonna have to throw together, hey, we're gonna allocate, you know, whether it be $90,000 again or $150,000, this is what you have to work with for the ensuing year.
Yep. And then on top of what we're paying them.
Correct.
Yeah, that's just, it's to get it done.
Right, so we're almost hitting $250,000, right there.
yep,
No, I'm not saying, but I'm just,
Yeah.
they're real numbers.
The $10,000 number you had in there, that hasn't been filled.
It's baby steps.
well, baby steps are where we're at.
Any
You
more?
gotta start taking them.
Oh, yes, we
Can't
do.
just kicking the can down the road.
Yes, we do.
Well, and speaking of that, I just wanted to reiterate too, that back building has been like that longer than I can remember. So it's been, that can has been kicked.
It's too bad.
20 years plus, 25?
Right. It's not right. Taken care of it a long time ago.
Well, if the kids couldn't be in this building, why are we in this building? That's what I'd like to know.
It
It isn't.
it's a legit question.
It wasn't safe for kids, why is it safe for employees and the community? That's where we need.
Decision that was made long before us.
Well, I understand that, but this is where we make changes.
Yes, you're absolutely right, and we're hope to be making them.
Well, we hope that's not good enough. We need to be doing it.
Are we,
So where are we standing on all this right now?
That's,
We're gonna work on the,
We're
Cut
gonna
and dry, black
advertise
and white.
for facilities manager.
I know I can find that description again.
Okay. All right.
Just need your-
if you could have by Monday what we have remaining in our, or what we have potential, because there's probably a few things that we should try to look at, like I
I mean,
mentioned.
we do still have ARPA funds that we can utilize. We have what's left in the building maintenance fund. And then we do have a line item, or we do have maintenance line items in the budget as well. I mean,
the $10,000, that's the $10,000, that's what.
it's not a lot to work with, but we do have some.
But something, yeah.
Right, but like the ramps and the few things over at the recycling center, those are things that don't really require another person to come in. We can say, we realize we need ramps, we can do that. Convex, if we think we want to at least start, let's see what we're keeping or tossing.
Well, I think, I mean, what it's going to probably take is a matter of going out there, getting everything that is, we can just say safely that we're gonna dispose of, get that in one room, get the keep in another room, get it separated, because right now, everything's everywhere.
Yeah.
We could use the community room to stage.
If it's, yeah.
No,
No?
no, unfortunately not, the rec stuff's in there, I mean, we just got rid.
Why handle it twice, just get it done?
Yeah, I know.
Well, some of you get to keep.
I know, but this is stuff you know you're gonna trash.
Yeah.
Than
Right.
putting it here.
Oh, yeah.
Move it.
What's a dumpster cost now?
It doesn't cost
What
much.
was the purpose? I mean, again,
400 or 500
I feel like we didn't accomplish anything right here in this whole thing about the town facilities. What was our goal?
Well, I think we're gonna go with,
We have no idea what it's gonna cost.
the management company will.
I know, it's kinda hard to say, well, it's gonna cost $200,000 to go back. I have no idea.
Getting someone who will present that to you,
Right,
that's where you start, really.
yeah.
And we distinguished the two areas that we wanted to concentrate on to start. Start with this building and the
And the recycling.
recycling center. So we got two areas to focus on.
We asked for these people's time to come in. I wanted to make sure that we're just doing the justice for why we have had you here tonight. You know? I'm not
That's why
sitting
we
here
asked them when we
mind-
first started. Wasn't that our first question? What do you recommend?
Was that what you said, to recommend the two buildings? Would be, out of your assessment of everything that you saw in this whole town,
Well, I think that actually the last.
would be the
time
two areas you think that'd be the best for the town to tackle? Would be the recycling center and this back building? Is that what you guys think?
When we presented the first time, I believe what we talked about the most was this
Hiring someone.
management of the property. Right. And to answer your question about which thing should come first, well, that really kind of plays into all of that. And if you put one thing ahead of the other, we're back to speculating exactly what things are gonna cost and who's gonna do it, and how it's gonna get done and where it's gonna go.
But we have to focus on something, or we're just gonna continue speculating.
Like Gary said, health and safety is obviously an important issue. And sometimes I think if we're looking at health and safety and we're trying to address some immediate issues, put a padlock on that door back there and put a sign that says no entry. Simple, and it'll be done. When we wanna go further than that, we wanna start emptying the building, we wanna start adding the structural improvements that were recommended years ago. Well, then now we need to get into the costing issues and what it's gonna take. I think you can do two things at once. You can look at those costing issues at several locations and see which one fits the budgets better, or which ones are more presentable to the rest of the town, to which things are gonna start to be more important. Is the recycling center more important? Is the back of the building more important? That's kind of obscure to be able to answer that question. What we see and what our function was to simply point out whatever we saw. What we saw was health and safety issues in the rear of the building. Some safety issues at the recycling center. If you're asking our opinion on which things are more important, I don't know if we're really in a position to offer that, because that was not our charge. our charge was to assess and make recommendations on things that we saw as deficiencies. And that's what we presented. And like we said in the previous presentation, the thing that's gonna be the catalyst for that is the management of the property and someone to actually bring all those tangibles into one place at one time. So it's a difficult question I answered, John.
No,
You know what I mean?
I was hoping for more straightforward, but I understand where you're coming from, so.
We're not making any commitments.
You're not hanging us out there to get voted.
So let's work on the management side of that. Job description, all that, post, whatever we need to do, get this ball rolling so that we'll have something in place, hopefully, very shortly, so that we can start addressing some of these issues which have been pointed out in this report.
Right.
So,
And we have to just roughly get ideas of money-wise, because
Well, I think this is with
if we bring somebody on, or we go through this hiring process, and we don't have enough money in a warrant article to support anything this guy's doing, he's a waste of our time and money.
right, but this is
So-
where his insight, or her, whoever,
That, we better, because our warrant articles are coming up.
Yep.
We need those in
That's
2
why I'm
months,
saying
so.
we need to get this
We don't have
rolling.
somebody hired, and
Yeah.
kind of a little late to the ball on this one, but.
Any more discussion?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you, guys.
Do you have
Have anything
non-public?
non-public? No. Okay.
Yeah, motion to adjourn?
Hold off until next week.
What was that? I couldn't hear.
I said everything
Non-public.
can hold off until next week. There's nothing
Alright.
priority.
Okay. Well, this concludes our meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Tim Verbiel, seconded by Steve Welch. All,
Public comment?
This is,
3 minutes, no public comment at all?
nope, not today.
there was nothing on the agenda for,
Yeah,
this
but
is,
the public is here, and I came prepared to speak, and I didn't see a reason why we couldn't speak.
This is about the
It
well.
was a
This-
special meeting that was scheduled just to go through the remainder budgets, and they are meeting Monday.
I don't care, it's up to you, you make the call.
the 6th.
Can I get on the agenda? I need 15 minutes.
If you could please send me the topic and the supporting information.
You already know it.
Just, if you could just send me an email with the topic that you want to discuss and anything that they can review ahead of time. Just, if you could give that to me by Thursday.
I'm in an argumentative mood tonight.
In reference to what to do first, I would suggest that you look at the biggest liability, as I think John was pointing out. The biggest liability is.
Well, he does it anyway.
someone that don't. Just keep in mind, the taxes in this town have doubled in 10 years. That's not sustainable, you guys. Thank God for the 4%. Thank God for the 4%.
Did I get a second?
Did we have a second? Steve, did you
Yeah.
second it?
I did.
Okay, roll call.
Aye, Steve Welch.
Oh, I John Warren, sorry.
I've been Bartlett.
Aye, Tim DeBrio.
Still with us?
I'm at your.
Okay, meeting adjourned.